human history has led to this moment. This is our last stand. And if we lose, it will be a planet of apes.
I was a fan of the series from a child. Like I wanted to be an ape so badly, and when I saw Rise, I was particularly drawn to it because I'd never had that level of emotional identification with a CG character, and that really blew me away. And there was something about the way Andy played that character and the way that Caesar was realized that I was just transfixed by. And in particular, this idea of the way he was coming into articulation, that scene where he says no when he finally speaks. You feel like you've seen this kind of raging intelligence inside him the whole time, and he's been wanting to speak, and then he does, and it comes with such urgency.
Matt actually pitched me this story, so I didn't read a script and have a response to it. He actually sat down with me about 2 years ago, or longer actually, and in real time played the story out for me, told me the story, and I was blown away by it.
It took me an hour and a half to pitch the story, but I did, and he was so thrilled and excited, and I knew that we were on the right track because I had this emotional feeling and connection about it, and in talking to him about it, I could see that it was sparking that in him. I mean, one thing I know about Andy is he loves to push himself.
I mean, the interesting thing about this one is that Caesar from the first movie has gone from being a pure chimpanzee raised by humans into an evolving human being with an enhanced intelligence, but also an enhanced physical growth and rapid evolution. So we see him in Dawn becoming more human-like, and in this one his feelings and emotions and the way he expresses himself, including speech, become incredibly human, and this is completely at odds with what he is feeling, which are feelings of which are ascribed more to animalistic sort of feelings of rage and aggression. So that tension was something that we sort of worked on together.
I got to watch him go to places that were amazing. I mean, it's funny when I spoke to some of the lead animators, Dan Barrett, who's the supervising animator at Weta. He was saying, I think we have to really take a look at that software to make sure that we can get the detail out of his performance. And there's a scene in particular where it's his final scene with Woody Harrelson. Woody's performance and Andy's performance, the two of them together there is absolutely, they're riveting together. And the idea that performance would need to be translated onto the face of an ape was a real challenge. And the animators were really anxious to do it, but they were a little daunted by it.
I came for you.
The technology is great, and Weta would agree. They go, yeah, we've made this technology so great that it doesn't impede anybody in performing. You used to have to stand in front of a green screen and pretend you were another human being, and at the same time that bear that's not there is chasing you or going to attack you. That was hard to do, right? Oh my God. Now you don't have to do that. And that's the brilliant thing about the technology.
In this one, we were shooting in a Canadian winter, minus 16. So the technology had to hold up against, and on this much bigger, challenging scale.
I would show up every day to set when I wasn't working. Before I started, it was like, go down to the rocks, go down there. I'll send some guys down there later. I'd be down there for hours, just like with these guys walking around, going through the woods, like, walk and then trot and running. And I was fascinated with this idea of like, why is it me sitting here? Why is this different than this guy why do we do that? And why is this different? How is that different to this? There's a big difference, man. And I don't know what it is, but I figured it out. And it became second nature to the point where I could play a character. I'm proud of that. It took a lot of work.
What I wanted to do in this one was to move into the realm of the mythic, to turn him into a legend, to sort of go off. And in a way, that was the idea of moving into, we go into the snow. It was the idea of going out of the Muir Woods and for the movie to become almost like a mythic fairy tale and to get very elemental. And there was something fairy tale-like about these apes riding their horses into the snow.
I was very, very excited, even at the prospect of it. Let's put it that way. Even when they called and said, hey, they're really considering you for this part. Oh, what's the part? Like, really? Wow, that got me so excited. And then I talked to Matt, and Matt is just a brilliant guy.
Oh, but you ape like me.
And then he explained it, and I read the character, and I thought it was an amazing character. On the paper, it was, who would not want to play this guy? And I auditioned. I worked really hard on that audition. But I didn't go full champ. I went like 32%, because I wanted the gig.
There's a version of the movie that exists before the version that everybody sees, and that's not Planet of the Apes, that's Planet of the mocap actors. And that movie has to work before you begin turning over shots to turn them into apes. And that's all about making sure that the performances and the story plays. And then once that, otherwise you'd be doing, countless incredibly expensive shots and you'd be making mistakes all over the place. So you refine that, and your mission is to make sure you're getting emotionally what you need from the actors.
When he's on set, his focus is all drama. His focus is, he's a brilliant cinematographer as well, so he understands the shots and understands the style of photography, and he wanted to feel like this, all the shots that he chose feel like sort of, and he loves 70s movies, which have a reality to them, which aren't trying to pull the fast one over the audience or make it look fancy with fancy camera angles and where you become a bit self-conscious of the storytelling. He knows he wants to keep it simple and make it about the drama. So it's very much about the actors on set. He's a brilliant actor's director. Every single scene is an incredibly complex beast, but he always focuses on the drama.
I mean, I don't really care if you know what goes into it or not. But when I hear people say, like, Andy is a great motion capture actor, and then you experience it and you go like, oh my God, that's no different than any other movie I made, other than the fact that it's harder in that I'm playing a character and I'm being subtle and I'm a chimpanzee. And then to hear somebody say like, oh, but he's a motion capture actor. Oh, that was computerized, right? So it's just a computerized movie? You're like, I spent 6 months in pain, like literally riding horses, climbing trees, and pretending like all that stuff is effortless. And yeah, maybe I'm a little sensitive to it, but it's true. It's like I think Andy's one of the best actors I've ever worked with. Period, hands down. I don't care if he's wearing a gray suit or he's wearing armor. Who cares? So, in a way, who cares? It's a great movie, and he's great. But you kind of want it to get where credit's due.
We cannot take her, Maurice.
In Dawn, there was the beginnings of a proto-language, he's struggling to form words. I was wearing a mouth guard, for instance, to stop me from fully articulating sounds. Whereas in this one, Matt and I decided that it would be a very long film if I took the time to say things in that way. So we had to find a balance in how Caesar would speak.
When I came into Dawn, they had a plan for the apes to be much more verbal than they already were. And I was like, wait, in the last movie, 4 words were spoken by apes. Like, Caesar has 4 words. Let's take our time. And that was a big part of what that was about. And this is still, to some degree, I mean, there's a moment when Maurice begins speaking, and that is, the apes are still along a continuum, but they're farther along, and it's no longer the subject of the story. It's an aspect of the story, and it becomes less and less important as they evolve.
If you go off the edge and you fall off the tightrope, you can sound too casual as well, and he just becomes a guy, and he's chatting away, and it's just like, that would blow it completely.
Are there more like you? More apes from zoo? Dead. All dead. Long time. Human gets sick. Ape gets smart. Then human kill ape. But not me. I run. You learn to speak. Listen, human. Bad ape. Bad ape.
I just knew that he would be this kind of lovable guy. I mean, he's alone, was so excited to have people around, that he would go against all of his instincts and go on this journey, just because he didn't want to be alone anymore. He had to get out of solitary confinement, And yet, the interesting thing is, he's tragic too. I mean, Caesar and him bond because of loss and a shared experience of loss. It's really sad.
New friends. Special day.
I think the interesting thing about this franchise is that, these summer movies, they are all about spectacle, right? They're about seeing action on a level that you just don't see, and they're also about maybe seeing some aspect of character that involves, the supernatural, some superpower, and none of that exists in this, but we do have a spectacle, and it's actually a very intimate spectacle. It is that when you watch this movie, you will have emotional identification with an ape. You will see yourself in the faces of these apes. And that is a strange, uncanny experience. So in a weird way, our spectacle is what enables us to do what we're doing. The weirdness of our movie, the thing that people come to that's so different, is that they submit to an experience where for a couple hours, they become apes.
My God, look at your eyes. Almost human. How did you know I was here?
I was told you were coming.
When I saw the movie, I'd seen me and had reacted. So I could watch the movie as a movie, and I was floored. I saw it at Fox in LA. And there was like 6 executives in this theater with me, and when they show it at Fox, there's no credits. So you get that like pan up and the ding, ding, bing. Lights up, all the executives get up. I was in the back crying, and I'm like, I thought it was a brilliant film, I was so excited about it.
This one is really about the demise of empathy, I think, if you're talking thematically. And it's just got deeper and more layered, and as our world has become more complicated in recent times, it seems certainly like a movie for our times.
I did not start this war, but I will finish it.
I really feel like the 3 films are a very satisfying description of an amazing arc. As I said, to me what's so exciting is that the 3 of them are so different. The film that Rupert made is very different from the 2 films that I made. But even Dawn is very different from War. But that thing that really is engaging, I think at the deepest level, is the evolution of Caesar's character and watching Andy Serkis as that character through those 3 films, and to reach this point in his sort of evolution and in his story so that you feel like you have seen the definitive conclusion really to the making of a legend. And I think we did that. I hope people will feel that we did that. We'll see when they see it.